Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about a wonderful event that's going on in our area. It is the 5th year and it's at Lititz Storytelling Festival. With us right now, David Worth, you're the partner with Story Partners. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here.
And Doc Yoder, you are a storyteller and people know you
me.
in our area too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for being here. This is the 5th year and this is absolutely wonderful. For those just watching the first time, just tell us briefly what this is.
A storytelling festival, the Lititz Storytelling Festival, is a great time when we have some professional storytellers that come in from around the world, really. And you have several concerts, we call them, in the evenings, and workshops, and open mic time if you want to tell your own story. And it's a time to hear story, to tell story, and to be inspired and entertained with wit and wisdom.
Yes, indeed. And it is Friday and Saturday at September 9th and 10th at Warwick Middle School, which is a perfect venue for this.
It's fantastic. The professional storytellers that come from around the world say, wow, this is a great place. The audience is right there. They can interact with them. The sound is Clare Brothers sound. It's perfect. The lighting is great. They say, never leave this place.
Yeah. Doc Yoder, you've been doing this for a while too, and you're also a teacher in our area, right?
In the school district of Lancaster.
Yeah, so you've been a storyteller for a long time.
You asked me earlier when I started. I don't really remember. My parents were storytellers. I mean, we would sit shelling peas and Mom would tell stories, sit around after family reunions. Everybody's telling stories, go around the table one after the other. I don't know when I started telling stories.
The importance of being a storyteller and to continue this is what, David?
You know, one guy I admire talks about storytelling as the first communication technology.
Well, yes.
This is the way that we as human beings communicated whatever it is that we thought needed to be communicated. And we're still doing it millennia later. And even now in the middle of this global digital communications revolution, where people are feeling overwhelmed with the amount of information, storytelling is experiencing a renaissance because people want that kind of personal connection and communication. They want to tell their story. They want to hear your story, Diane, and they want to hear stories that have meaning from the past. They want to hear stories that might take us into the future. It's really a place where people can experience kind of an authenticity in communication. It's real.
Yes.
And it's present.
Yes. There is an art to this, isn't there?
Yes.
What makes a good storyteller?
You wanna
I mean,
talk
we
about-
know.
A good
we
audience.
know. A good audience.
Always
okay.
helps. A good audience.
All right. So a good audience is what? Good listeners
And facial
and facial reaction, connection,
enjoyment.
enjoyment.
So we were talking about you can't tell a story without an audience.
Okay.
And they make a huge difference because you change the story based on the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you learn to be a good storyteller?
Well, one good thing is to come to this thing and you watch
And
some of the
there's a
best.
workshop.
These are some of the best in the world. They've got workshops with each one of them. You can sign up for those workshops and get, that's what they'll tell you is about how they do it and how you might do it. It's, yeah.
And then there's a story swap in the afternoon where you get up on stage, you tell a story, and some of the storytellers are kind enough to sit around and then give you feedback afterward.
Okay.
Professionals talking to people like me, giving me positive feedback, say you might want to do this, you might want to do that. It's really helpful.
There's a lot of magic that goes on between the storyteller and the listener, right?
Yeah. Tell them about your time in Egypt there.
So the story I'm going to tell later, I think, is a
There is
Goha
a good
story.
story. Okay, and so
And
you were in Egypt.
And I'm there with Mennonite Central Committee. I'm teaching 5th graders, and they won't talk. It's an English class, but they won't talk. They're afraid to talk. They're Arabic-speaking kids. And I'd heard about Goha, but didn't know much about him. I said, do any of you know Goha stories? And they looked at me like, Goha stories? We're going to talk about Goha stories? And kids are jumping out of their seats. This is a very British system. You don't jump out of your seat. They're jumping out of their seats, talking over each other. They can't shut up. They're going in Arabic, English. They tell me the story, and then they have to tell me why it's funny. They have to tell me the cultural background to the story. Stories are kind of magical.
They really are. Why don't you share a little bit of that magic? I think you have a story to tell us.
So Goha, he's this wise fool. He's poor. He lives across the road from somebody who's rich. Every day Goha wakes up thinking today is going to be better than tomorrow, or than yesterday, and tomorrow will be even better. The neighbor, though, he's this money tightwad. He wants everything. He's greedy. Whenever Goha gets something, the neighbor takes it away. So Goha thinks maybe I can help him out. He goes across the street to the neighbor. They sit and drink tea, and then Goha says, "Have you seen my new sheep?" Neighbor says, "New sheep? No, I haven't seen it. Tell me about it." Goha said, "Oh, it's special. If you put your arms out as far as you can, you won't be able to touch the back of the sheep and the nose of the sheep at the same time." "Wow, that's a pretty big sheep," thinks the neighbor. "If you stand on your tiptoes, put your hands way up in the air, you won't be able to touch its back." "It's a really big sheep," said the neighbor. He grabs Goha and says, "You have to sell it to me." "Goha, I can't sell it to you. It's my children's favorite. They'd be sad." "No, you have to sell it to me." So finally they agree on a price. Goha takes the money, goes home, comes back with the sheep. It's this little tiny lamb. "Here's your sheep." Neighbor's like, "That's not my sheep. Can't be." "Why it is?" said Goha. "You just paid the money for it. You said if I put my arms out like this, I won't be able to touch the back of the sheep and the front of the sheep. You said if I stand on my tiptoes, put my hands way up in the air, I won't be able to touch the back of the sheep." "Well," Goha said, "there's the sheep. You're standing on your tiptoes with your hands up in the air. Can you touch its back?" Neighbor had to agree that it was his sheep. Goha said, "Friend, I don't want your money. Let me take my little sheep home. You don't need to be so greedy to enjoy life." The neighbor tried. Sometimes it was hard. All Goha had to say was, "Neighbor, have you seen my new sheep?" to remind him.
Wow. And that's the other thing with storytelling that we were talking about earlier before we went on camera, but the wit and the wisdom. Tell me more.
You know, people say, what's a good story? Some of them, like this one, have a very clear moral, and the storyteller even tells you what that moral is. But they don't all have the moral quite that clear. Sometimes it's buried in there, and you have to listen. Sometimes a story, you can't figure out if there's a moral there. It's just for the fun of it, you know. So there's all different kinds of stories. This year we're going to have Daniel Morton, who's from Wales, and he tells almost exclusively traditional, you know, once upon a time stories, myths and legends. And those stories were both about history, but there was always some wisdom buried down in there. He says it's stories about the hero who keeps making mistakes, just like we do. But he gets up and he tries again, and eventually he gets to the goal.
Yes.
You know, so there's that kind of, that's just basic human wisdom in there. And sometimes it's about wit, the trickster, the wise fool, like Goha, who is trying to help his neighbor understand something about life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. How do you go about picking who you invite to the festival?
Well, we want to hear all of these tellers ourselves, so we have some sense of whether this will work in a Lititz environment.
Sure.
And so we go down to the Jonesboro International Storytelling Festival, which is held in Jonesboro the first week in October. And they have 20,000 people showing up there, and maybe 50 storytellers from around the world. So we get to go listen to these storytellers for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And by the time we're done with that, we're both wiped out with story, but we also know exactly who we want to invite for the next couple of years.
Well, you're talking about the Lititz environment. How would you describe the Lititz environment?
Well, we have, at the festival, we have three kinds of people that are coming. The first bunch are the real storytelling aficionados.
Okay.
A carload of women drive all the way from Wisconsin
Oh, all right.
to the Storytelling Festival because they want to hear Donald Davis. Okay. And then you have others who are local people, Lancaster County people, Lititz people who just think, hey, storytelling, I've maybe never been there, or yeah, my grandma was a great storyteller. Now they'll come this year because Doc Yoder is going to be on the program, and they heard him.
Sure.
So they'll do that. And then you have the others, sort of the central Pennsylvania area, tourists, people that are picking it up off of watching Blue Ridge Cable, you know, or off the website. Well, what's that about?
Sure.
And they just come along.
Curious.
So we have a really nice...
Just curious, yeah.
The tellers love being in Lititz because, again, it's a small town.
Yeah.
It's
a
very
lot of
walkable.
character.
There's all kinds of interesting things to do on the main street.
Yeah, we're going to put the website up on the screen right now, so that way you can go there and find out all the information
That's
about
right.
what's going on, where, when, and tickets and that sort of thing, right?
Yes, you can buy tickets right on that website. We have weekend passes, $45 for adults, $20 for students. A student is any child who goes to school.
Okay.
The other ones are free.
Okay.
This is mostly, I would say these stories, people ask us, is it family friendly? Absolutely family friendly. However, the real little people, they're not going to want to sit for 2.5 hours
Right.
and hear stories no matter how good they are.
So use your judgment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Use your judgment about that.
Okay.
Individual tickets are $15 or $10 for students. Workshops are $10.
All right.
The Saturday afternoon, what are we calling it?
Well, and we're going to take a break. And when
Okay.
we take a break, we're going to come back and talk about the Saturday afternoon, and we're going to talk about some of the other storytellers, so stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about the Lititz Storytelling Festival, which is coming up Friday and Saturday, September 9th and 10th, going to be held at the Warwick Middle School. We're back with David and Doc Yoder. We were talking a little bit before we went to break about the family.
Yes.
And how it's good for everybody in the family. There's a storytelling concert for families that Saturday afternoon. Is that
It
correct?
is, and the stories are shorter segments in that, and it's a shorter concert overall. So we figured the little people will be able to sit
Good.
and enjoy. And we've asked all these tellers, plus Doc Yoder, to come and tell us, at least include one wise fool story in
Okay.
there, because they appeal to every generation.
Oh, that's excellent. Let's break this down so people understand how the whole two-day event.
So Friday night, 7 o'clock, concert. All 5 storytellers. It's each one has about 25 minutes, and so they might tell one story of 25 minutes. They might tell 2. They might tell 3. You never know what these people are going to tell.
Okay.
Because they each have about 300 stories that they can tell you like that.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It's kind of
And
like jazz improvisation.
you got it. And like you said, that interaction with the audience. And they'll change. They saw they liked this one, so now when they get up, they're going to do this one. It's fun to watch. Then in the morning, we have the storytelling workshops, 10 to 11:30, an hour and a half. One, a small group, 20, 30 people with each of these professional storytellers on all kinds of different topics.
Wow.
So if you're interested in storytelling yourself or in your profession or in your family or in your church, you've got one that can help you figure out how to do that even better.
Oh, excellent.
Then, of course, we have the story swap,
All
which
right.
is a lot of fun. That's where you sign up when you come in the school. You sign up if you want to tell the story yourself. 7 minutes. If you go past 7 minutes, they're going to gong you.
Okay.
No,
Politely.
politely gong
Politely
you,
gong
yeah.
you, yes,
haul you
okay.
off the stage.
Right.
But you can just tell whatever story you want. Family friendly, please.
Yes.
And then a couple of the people in the audience, professional storytellers, will be happy to give you some feedback on that. So again, it can be a fun thing and a learning thing at the same time.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And then the storytelling concert for families at 3, and then after that, another storytelling concert at 7 o'clock. Again, these tellers will be up there, and I guarantee you, they will never tell the same story twice.
Wow.
They have so many,
Yes.
you will always get something new. Even if it's the same 5 people, it will be a totally different experience for you.
Well, this is so diverse.
Yes.
The people that you have coming, it's really diverse. And I know, Doc Yoder, you, Noah Baum. Tell me about Noah Baum.
I went to hers last year.
Right.
She's somebody who had everyone sitting in a group. She's so pleasant and had everyone telling our own stories. She's listening, giving us feedback, helping us understand stories come from us, not from other people. It's from us. That's what's important.
Yeah.
And that was the focus of that one.
Okay.
So now my problem is this year, do I go back to Noah's or do I go to a new one?
Right.
Because she'll do something different.
Yep.
It's a hard choice.
Yeah.
It is a very difficult choice.
Tell us a little bit more about her, too.
Yes, Noah is Israeli-American. Grew up in Israel and has lived in the U.S., several different places, lives down in Silver Spring, Maryland, and she has Jewish tales. She has tales that also, there's some wise fool stories in there, usually a rabbi in that case. But there are other stories that are about the Israeli-Palestinian issue and how you walk your way through that. Very authentic communication.
Oh, that's good. Carmen, is it Agradidi?
Yes, Carmen is grew up in Cuba as a small child. They refugeed to the United States. A dramatic story there. She grew up in southern Georgia, Decatur, outside of Atlanta there, and so she's very humorous, but poignant also. You know, sort of the cross-cultural experience as an immigrant child, trying to figure out what's really going on here and why do these people act this way. It's really funny, but there's a few zingers down in there underneath, you know, that wit and wisdom you were talking about. Yeah.
Sure. Tell me about Bill. Is it Lepp?
Oh, Bill Lepp. He is a 5-time world champion liar. There's a West Virginia Liars Contest, and he's been the 5-time winner. Now, people listen to me. I had one woman say, well, yeah, pretty well all men are that.
Yeah.
Bill is one, he makes up tall tales.
Okay.
There's a long tradition of tall tales. And his stories always start out, and you think it's a normal story. Yeah, I went down to the grocery store the other day, but before long you know that surely this didn't happen, but it's so much fun, and then he'll bring it around back and bring you safely back down to earth again. It's wonderful.
So who should come to this?
Oh, anybody that likes to listen to a story or likes to tell a story.
Yeah, it really is for anybody to come, and very family friendly, which I'm really glad that you're doing.
Yes.
And I think keeping the stories alive, it's just good for our communication skills, period. Wouldn't you agree, Doc?
I think your show is you're a storyteller, and I think we all are storytellers. I mean, I'm a teacher, I'm a storyteller,
Yes.
but I think almost every profession, you're a storyteller, or you're a listener. My wife is a nurse. She's a listener to stories. She hears many, many stories. I mean, that's a skill as well, to be a listener.
It is.
So I think this is much more than just people who think of them as storytellers to come to.
So what would you say makes a good listener?
Somebody who responds,
Okay.
somebody who is affected by the story.
Okay.
I mean, you can see that on their body posture. You can see it in their faces.
Yeah.
I think especially Noah Baum, last year, hearing her stories, she really shares deeply from herself. And I think when the audience honors that, it's being a good listener.
So would you also say that that is something that makes a good storyteller, the level that you share on?
Absolutely. They say that the number one thing for a good story and a good storyteller is that the teller knows the story. This is not about memorizing a story and then getting up and repeating it.
Right.
This is about knowing the story. So every time you tell the story, you actually live the story again at that moment. And this is not, it doesn't have to be a personal experience. It can be, but it can be a myth. But the storyteller enters into it in such a way, body and soul, the audience feels like this person knows that story in the biblical sense of knowing, you know, just total. If they get a sense that the teller's just got this thing up here and is rattling it off one more time,
Yes.
it's not going to connect.
No, I think it's the difference between, and I think as a listener, you know, whether you're being talked at or talked to.
There you go.
Or talked with.
And that's right, a part of it, because it is that part of, the listener is a part of the story.
Exactly.
Wow,
Exactly.
wow. So this is amazing, and the fact that you've been doing this for 5 years, it's really grown and changed and evolved. Tell me
It
what's
has.
happened.
We started out in Linden Hall, and then it got too big for the auditorium there. So we looked around and found this wonderful place at the Warwick Middle School, and the storytellers, they tell other storytellers, hey, you want to go to Lititz. And because it's a fun place to be,
Right.
and they've got a great lineup, and it's a good place, and so we have lots of tellers that come to us and say, can we come? You know, so he's coming, Daniel's coming all the way from Wales. It's wonderful.
That's great.
And Donald Davis is back again. He's North Carolina. It's wonderful to have these people.
How many people do you expect to attend? What's typically?
This theater holds about 500. We're
Okay.
between 350 and 400 for each show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there's room to grow. So
Yeah,
if you're
yeah, come
thinking,
on
hey, I
down.
want to test this out too.
Yeah.
Let's go to the website. Exactly what are we going to find there? Tell us. that.
LititzStorytellingFestival.net.
Net, okay.
And on that festival, you will find a profile of each of the tellers. You'll find the whole schedule. You'll find a way to buy a link to buy your tickets through Eventbrite. It's all there.
Okay, everything's there. What does this mean to you to be a part of this, Doc?
What does it mean to me? That's a great question. I'm not sure how to answer it.
Any way you want.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's just a lot of fun being
All right.
part of it. And I appreciated being asked.
Yeah.
Those folks are experts at this. To hang around with experts is pretty fun, no
Yeah.
matter what you're doing.
Yeah. I would think, too, with all this, there's a lot of growth that happens. Because when you open yourself up to be a part of this, to be a part of the process, and to learn from all of this, it really, there's growth. And I think when you attend this, you come away changed, and I think in a good way, and in a different level, and I think you look at the world a little differently. We look at each other differently, and hopefully we can all even be better communicators, too.
Yeah, we would like to think that, you know, as people tell their story, like you're saying, and as we listen to somebody else's story, that we do learn and grow through that, and that will lead us, let us say, in the direction of neighborliness.
Okay. And hold that thought. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with a final thought. Stay with us. We've been talking about the Lititz Storytelling Festival, Friday, Saturday, September 9 and 10. Doc, a final thought.
I would really encourage people to come. I think it's an amazing thing. It happens in Lititz, this wonderful little town. World-class storytellers are coming.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people to sign up for the story swap. It takes a little guts to do that,
Yeah.
to get up in front of people, but it's such a supportive environment. It's a wonderful place.
And that's what's key. David, some thoughts.
We've just had so much fun helping this thing happen in Lititz. The people that come, the audience, the tellers, we're all part of the same event. We're all having an experience together, and it's just a lot of fun, poignant sometimes, hilarious some others. I expect to laugh my guts out.
Yeah.
And then the next moment, we might be crying.
Yeah.
And the next moment, we'll be saying,
And we do it all together, right? We're going to put up on the screen the website. You can find out the information, location, about the storytellers, tickets, and that sort of thing. Once again, it is Friday and Saturday, September 9 and 10. Thank you so much for doing this. This is the 5th year, and this is wonderful. Thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.